everybody. Welcome to today's food guide. I'm going to make a food guide for Icarus. Me and my trusty cat here, Smokey. He's all energetic and helping out. I've been meaning to make this guide for quite a while. So, yeah, let's just get right into it. What I've done is I've created myself a little house. It's the very basics of kind of a design that I usually make. And I started a new character. This guy's only level 7. I called him newbie just because whatever. In my tech tree, I have chosen just the basics, like a drying rack, a fire pit, the oxidizer, some bandages because I need them. I've gotten around to bone life. I got 1 point left. I'm not absolutely sure where I want to put it quite yet. And of course, how to build a wood house. The talents that I've chosen now, I haven't gone any of the cooking and farming quite yet, because to me, anyways, you're going to take some stamina. You're going to take, or you should be taking, some movement speed, some health at the beginning of the game, meaning your first 10 levels probably shouldn't go into cooking and farming. I mean, hey, I could be wrong on my assumptions there, but and nothing under habitation. Eventually, of course, I'm going to have ready to work in under repairing. I don't get anything else there. Under combat, I'll be choosing one of the 4. I'm not absolutely sure which way I'm going there yet. Basically, this is actually to show you a lot of the cooking and farming, though. So I don't know how much combat I'm really going to be taking. For my suggestion for you is I'll try to highlight like the best of the best in this cooking farming tree, if you wish to go that direction. Some of the ones that I do take, dense packing, 1 and level 2, for the weight capacity, just because it's much better. The carry on for the encumbrance reduction penalty, some movement speed, of course, stamina. I do usually take some lumber and yielding, but I have no idea how that's going to work out with the cooking and farming, because I personally don't usually take cooking and farming. That's what my wife takes, and we work together on that. So I'm not absolutely sure how, but I'll try to keep you updated when I level up to the next levels and whatnot. I'm going to split this guide up into 4 tiers, meaning tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. And as I get up, when I go to tier 2, I have to be 10th level, because you can't take the crafting bench before that. Without the crafting bench, of course, you don't have the cooking station. You don't have a lot of the stuff like the stone for the fireplace. I mean, so the wood crop plot. You don't have the composter for the. Yeah, I'm going to try to get into all of that during this. Before I start out, though, we need to take a look at the show more. Inside here is all of the different abilities. Yeah, there's a bunch, isn't there, in the game. And if I can find them really quick. Crafting fire modifiers. Food effects duration is one to pay attention to. I will be mentioning that throughout this guide. The upkeep, oxygen consumption, but here I'll be getting at food consumption. So it's 10 per minute is what I'm consuming. What that covers is under your food, right? When you take and consume, you get a food value, meaning this is worth 100 food when consumed. You'll notice that didn't fill that. Okay. And well, I just have basic foods for right now. So underneath this, under your food consumption, you'll be basically you tick down 10 per minute unless you get a reduction in food consumption. My maximum food capacity right now is 300 water and oxygen, but this isn't really a survival guide. So just for informational purposes, I'm going to get rid of myself because I don't think I need to be in there. So there's going to be a lot of info that I'm going to try to give you, but I'm going to try to give it to you in stages. Right from the beginning of the game, you can look at this show more, and it will show you all of the stuff behind these stats that are shown to you. When you fill your food bar, how much you fill it by, your water. There's a bunch of different timers, meaning there's one timer which is 10 per minute on 300. So if you take 300 divided by 10, right, you get 30 minutes worth of food. And then you get, like on this one, you get X amount of second. If I consume another one, you'll see that it goes 900 seconds of cooked meat buff. So I will have 75 max health and 20% health regen for 900 seconds. 900 seconds is a lot more than 30 minutes, meaning 900 divided by 60 seconds, you get 15 minutes of this. Whereas the 10 per minute food consumption will consume your 300 in 30 minutes. 10 per minute, 300 seconds, right? Or 300 food capacity, 10 per minute. That will take 30 minutes for that to go down. Commonly, your timer will run out before your food runs out. So the timers will be gone, long gone, and then you will start to see this go down to a red, and then, well, eventually you start to die in this game. This is not a game where you can go AFK. You cannot pause that I know of. There might be a pause function, I don't know, in mods or buffs or well, not buffs, sorry, in mods and or console commands or something. But basically, if you get up and walk away from this thing, you've got about 15 minutes, roundabout. And then you're going to start to run into food issues. You're going to start running into oxygen and water issues, and then you're going to die. The timer above here is not the timer connected to how much food you have. Just wanted to point that out. These, if you maintain these timers, meaning when you take a fresh fried fish chunks, you will be getting 600 seconds. The fresh cooked meat buff is 900. There are other foods later on that give upwards of 1200. So if you're maintaining these timers, then you don't ever have to really worry about this one. Anyways, let's carry on. So to begin with, in your inventory, you will have the berry and seed bar. You will have the seed animal feed. Not really needed until you get animals. And this isn't something you're going to eat. But you have the berry seed bar, and then you also have the honeycomb bar. Right from the get-go, you can get honey out of the caves. Take a seed, doesn't say which type, so any seed and honeycomb, and you get a honeycomb bar. From there, in your tech tree under tier 1, as long as you have enough points for a campfire, the campfire and the fire pit are the same. I usually go for the fire pit because it's easily put inside a home, whereas a campfire on wood usually doesn't go well. Inside the fire pit is, amongst everything else, there's honey tea, which if you are collecting it from the caves, fish of both types, but this is fish that you have to catch, and then you have to put it onto the fish bench to turn it into a fish fillet. So not really available to you. The fried fish chunks, jump into a lake, anywhere where there's fish, grab your stone dagger and just start knifing the fish, and you'll get fish chunks, which is where I got these from. Everything else in here is collected, meaning I don't care if it's the cooked fatty T-bones, I don't care. It's all collected either off of an animal or like corn, you collect it by scavenging or scrounging or foraging for it. Lots of the different foods come from different places. So that is your two, I guess it's nighttime. That is your two places where you can go for fish or for food. As I said, I usually go for the fire pit. It has a larger storage area, I find. And so I can come back with stuff, and yeah, it's just easier. I commonly build on the water. It makes it easier for fishing and such. But I'm going to stand out back here and give me a second.
Okay, so post-edit here, I figured I better tell you where to find these foods. So, in the grassland and forest, you'll find wild berries and watermelon. The forest is basically throughout all of Olympus and Styx, and you'll find forest in Prometheus as well. Grassland, I think that's primarily in Prometheus. We did find wild berries, watermelon, pumpkins. We found outcroppings of corn, definitely carrots in Prometheus in the grasslands and forest of Prometheus. I'm not too sure where the forest starts and grassland ends in Prometheus. I'm not absolutely sure on that. I'm still, our first playthrough through Prometheus is going on right now on our stream. So anyways, beyond that, I separated the wild berry and the watermelon because you can find those, eat them raw, no big deal, but they're also not cookable, meaning you can't cook the wild berry or the watermelon. But the ones below it, the corn, the carrot, the pumpkin, and the soybean, although, yes, you can eat those raw, I strongly suggest, and you'll see in the rest of this guide, I strongly suggest you cook them. You can throw them on any campfire and cook them, and it's really not a big deal. And they're worth way more than if you were to eat them raw. Then the next is caves, and you'll find mushrooms. Any cave that I have found in the game, they don't all have mushrooms. It's mostly in the frost biomes, okay, or the frozen biomes, and the caves that are in those frozen biomes. Then in the desert, you'll find squash. Now, according to the wiki, you're supposed to be able to find squash in the forest. I have never found squash in the forest. We've always found it in the desert. No ifs, ands, buts, or maybes. But hey, I'm just going by. I looked it up, and it does say in the wiki you can find it in the forest. I've never found it. In Prometheus, they added, you'll notice it says item introduced in New Frontiers. Okay, so in Prometheus in the grassland, you'll find tomato. Now, in this little guide, this is my first time back to Olympus since I started playing Prometheus, so I never found any tomatoes anywhere in this forest biome. I touched into the desert. Of course, I went to the frozen zone. There's nothing down there for plant life. And then I make mention of not knowing where potatoes are. Okay, so you'll find them in the swamp. I had to actually go talk to my wife about that one. I've personally never found a potato in my life in the game, but my wife said she found them in the swamp. So, okay, alrighty. And then tomatoes are all over the place in the grasslands. So that's where you find all of, let's call them the fruits and vegetables. Or better yet, simple fruits and vegetables. So the next four kind of fall into their own category. They're the simple 3 mission foods. Now, I looked to see if you can find these 4 foods anywhere other than, well, basically in your loadout. So what has to happen is you have to start a mission. You have to get the simple 3 mission editor, and I'll show you that in, right after I show you these foods. And then you have to complete simple 3 missions, and these will be in the rewards. We got ours in Styx during a open world playthrough that we were doing in it. You can go back and go look at some of the later ones that we did on that playthrough. I don't know where else to get these. I have looked. I did a tertiary search and whatnot on the internet. They don't seem to have changed these at all. As far as finding them. So you have to bring these 4. Now, the most important here is the strawberry, if you're leveling. Other than that, they're all 4 of them are pretty needed foods. You'll see it as I go through this food guide. Yeah, you're going to want these. So let me show you that mission, that simple 3 thing. Okay, so in order to get those foods I was talking about, you're going to have to get the Contact 4 device. Yours isn't not going to look as good as mine. Because I have the infrasonic relay upgrade and the encrypted satellite upgrade. So anyways, but you will have operations and simple 3 quests. I call them simple 3. So in here, you just request it. You'll get a small amount of Ren, as it was saying, and you will get other stuff. Now, when we did this, and of course the other side of that is your missions, in which you can complete some of the missions, the ones that aren't X'd. We're completely done Olympus, so for us, we would never. But you'll find those in your
here it is. Orbital exchange and contact for device. So it's a fairly simple wooden device when you first start out, and then of course you upgrade it later on. So the next category would be all the meats. So there's basic meat, which is just pretty much every animal drops or has the possibility of dropping basic meat. Boars will drop raw bacon. Pretty much. I think they can have some white meat in them. The other 6 categories are what I refer to in this guide as specialty meat. There's a little bit special about it. You'll see it as we go through. So it's, and I'm going by memory here, so Prometheus is not included in this, but the wolf, hyena, cougar cat, scorpions, they'll all drop stringy meat. The deer, buffalo, antelope, and goats will drop gamey meat. The scorpions will drop, and rabbits and baby deer will drop the soft meat. The boars will drop white meat. The elephants and mammoths will drop you a giant steak. And the bears and polar bears will drop you fatty T-bones. The specialty meats are a little bit different, and in the next section, I'll explain the big difference there. So as far as where to find this stuff, so basic meat, just about every animal, just about. Boars, instead of basic meat, you'll get raw bacon and white meat. The forest biome will have stuff like wolves, deer, wolves, deer, goats. I call them goats. They're chamois or whatever. Rabbits, baby deer, bears, pretty much in the forest. Grassland in Prometheus seems to be very close to forest. The desert biome will have your scorpions, your cougars, your hyenas, antelopes, boars as well. And the mammoths, or the elephants, I'm sorry. The mammoths you'll find in the frost biome, or the winter biome, along with the polar bears. Now, as far as Prometheus goes, I have yet to go into the volcanic biome in Prometheus. If you check out our stream that we're doing every once in a while on our Prometheus open world, we're still investigating it. I don't want to look that stuff up. So yeah, I'm leaving you a little, at the end of this little guide. If you're getting into the volcano biome, you've got a good smattering of food. You really do. So other than potatoes in the swamp, tomatoes in just the grassland, so they're both Prometheus items. Other than a couple of stuff, like you'll find this around. I mean, elephants, yeah, they're only in the desert. Mammoths are in the frost. So in order to get a giant steak, the one that's important is actually the fatty T-bone, not necessarily the giant steak. So just find some bears. If you can't find them, go into the frost biome, lower right-hand corner of the Olympus map, and you'll get polar bears in there. Make sure you got some ammo and whatnot with you. Other than that, because what I'm going to cover in the next section, or it's a little bit into the next section, but when I get into the prime meat buff, it's important that you know that once you cook this specialty meat, yeah, it's all the same buff. So whether you're in whatever biome, as long as you're picking up stringy meat, soft meat, gamey meat, white meat, and you're cooking it in a fire, you're getting the same buff. So anyways, let's get in the next section. Alrighty, so the first 2 foods that you're basically going to have access to is the berry seed bar and the honeycomb bar. I mentioned already, you can go into the caves and go get the honeycomb. You can basically, wild berries grow pretty much every biome I've been in so far. The basic biomes, the forest biomes, they have the wild berries. And seeds, well, start hacking off bushes and you'll get seeds. These aren't any dedicated seeds, so any seed will do. Now, down below, you'll notice that there are basically stat bonuses. I showed you the show more button on your character so that you can go find out where these go. Now, I'm not going to go bouncing back and forth and show you every food when you consume it and where it shows up. And no, this is just, we'll give you an overview. And if you really want to go investigate what it's done to your character, then you can go look. Now, these basic foods, plus 75 to stamina, it's not huge, but it's really nice in the beginning of the game because it's a lot better than the raw foods that are out there. If we look at wild berry, okay, and say watermelon.
You'll notice that they're only plus 50 max stamina. They both got 10 water consumption, which is nice. And when you find them out there in the wild, not a bad thing to go and eat them. I show you these two because you can't cook them. Now, there's a few others you'll find out there, like carrots. Okay, but if you look at barbecued carrot, it's worth more than regular carrot. You don't really want to eat a regular carrot. It's not worth it. You might as well throw it on a barbecue. Same with corn, same with others. Now, in the drying rack, I wanted to show this next. This is the meat that you can get in the drying rack. Now, it's kind of important because these are different buffs. I want to point this out at this point in time. Down below, you'll see that basic dried meat is basic dried meat. And then below dried fatty T-bone, let's say, you'll get the dried fatty T-bone buff, dried game meat buff, dried giant steak buff. Each one of these buffs is different, as opposed to if you were to take any one of those specialty meats and cook it on a barbecue or in the fire pit, whatever, you'll notice that they get the cooked prime meat buff. All these buffs are the same, meaning any one of those 6 specialty meats, white meat, stringy meat, soft meat, giant steak, gamey meat, fatty T-bone, or dry... No, just those 6. Any one of those will turn into the cooked prime meat buff. Much different than drying it. So if you have, let's say you kill a bear and you already have some cooked gamey meat, which is still giving you the cooked prime meat buff, you can keep your bear meat, which is the fatty T-bone, and you can turn it into dried fatty T-bone, and that way you'll still be able to put that food to use. I'd like to point out the negative 25% food consumption at this point in time. That's really, really nice buff when coming off of the drying rack. Now, I wanted to show you all of the vegetables, well, not vegetables, whatever they are, vegetables. The tomato, the rhubarb, the avocado. This comes off the drying rack as well. You'll notice all of the foods off the drying rack, amongst all their other abilities, are either 75 health or 75 stam, but they're 25% food consumption, except the dried avocado, which is 40%. So that means that turns that 10 per second into, 6 per second. Okay. It can be a huge difference, I'm going to say, at the beginnings of the game. You won't go as hungry as fast. You'll have more time to go hunt and stuff. You'll have more time to do a few things. That pretty much covers the drying rack. Now, all of the gathered vegetables, some of these aren't vegetables, but if you put them all together in a group, they are all at the very least 75 stam or health, because of course the seared mushrooms are health. But they all also have like a second projectile damage, attack speed, negative 10% stamina consumed by actions. They're all fairly low stat food, but it is still better to cook on a fireplace. You're way better to gather this stuff, put it on a fire pit real quick. None of it really takes too much to cook on a fireplace, but you should cook it. But that being said, also make sure you keep some of the seeds that you get for gathering them. Then we get into the meats. So I put them in 2 different categories, top and bottom. All of these 6 on the top carry the same buff, the cooked prime meat buff. Then there's fish chunks, which you get by basically jumping in the water and either spearing or knifing a fish. The grilled freshwater fillet and the grilled saltwater fillet are not really achievable at this particular point at the level that I'm at. And the only reason for that is that you can't put it onto the fishing table until you get the 10th level, because you need to get the level 2 or the tier 2 crafting bench before you can make the fishing table. Can't make it into freshwater or saltwater fillets. Freshwater, from this point, is right in front of me. That's fresh water. It's in the forest biome. The saltwater is in, say, the desert. They made desert saltwater. Don't ask me. It's the way, whatever. It's the way the planet is. Anyways, so in the beginning of the game, I will go with the cooked meat because it's abundant and you can get lots of it. It's a great one. There's nothing wrong with it. 20 health immediately when consumed, and 100 food. Who cares about the 100 food? It's not okay. It's not who cares. It doesn't really matter because you're going to be eating other foods with it. the main point about cooked meat is have a lot of it on hand because it's 20 health when consumed. It's almost like having a health pot is the way I look at it in the beginning of the game. It also gives you bonus to max health and 20% health regeneration. Now, if you mix that with any one of the gatherable, what I call specialty meats, because you're looking at white meat, gamey meat, fatty T-bones, giant steak, soft meat, and stringy meat. Now, these meats are found on deer, buffalo, antelopes, gamey meat. Stringy meat comes from like wolves, hyenas, cougars, leopards, scorpions. Soft meat, scorpions again, rabbits, and baby deer. White meat comes from boars as well as bacon. Gotta love bacon. Giant steaks are from the elephants and the mammoths, and the fatty T-bones are from bears, polar bears and regular bears. So the most abundant that you will find will be gamey meat and stringy meat. Okay, because of animals, I mean, unless you're doing a lot of bear killing in the beginning of the game, which I don't think you're going to be, your big one's going to be the gamey meat, stringy meat, and of course, white meat. If you're in the desert, probably soft meat because you're going to be killing a lot more scorpions. But anyways, that covers most of the campfire stuff. Now, I'll mention again, and I'm going to say it many times because I know people miss this. Take a look at the buff, the name of the buff that's underneath those top 6. They're all cooked prime meat. What that means is if you cook a fatty T-bone and you cook a giant steak, you don't eat both of them at the same time because the one buff won't be 2 different buffs. It'll be one buff. So commonly at this point in the game, I'm doing cooked meat. I'm doing a specialty meat with the cooked prime meat buff. And then I'm either doing fish chunks because I can't do the grilled, either saltwater or freshwater fillets, right? So I'm doing, at this point, it's cooked meat. I'm going to use just gamey meat just because, and then I'm just going to throw in a barbecued carrot. And that's commonly what I'm using at this point in time in the game. Just because it's easy, it's simple, and they're all made in the campfire, the fire pit, and pretty simple to do. So there's one food that I didn't show yet, and it's the cooked bacon. Now, along with cooked bacon, I'm going to show you one of the gamey meats, just for the cooked prime meat buff and the flatbread. Let me do some explanation here. The cooked bacon comes off of boars, and it's a very important food because of the plus 15% experience gained. This is, in my opinion, basically the best at this point in time in the game. It's the best experience food you can do. You could always use any one of the specialty meats. Any one of them will do. Any one of them will do just fine. But they're all worth 5. Now, I show the flatbread because you're going to see it, but you won't be able to make it. And the reason is you need the mortar and pestle because you need to be able to grind wheat into flour to make the flatbread dough. Okay, if you can't make the flatbread dough, you can't make the flatbread, can't make the flatbread, blah, 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 and the circle continues. Now, I wanted to show these just because in the beginning of the game, once you get to the crafting bench, which is tier 2, you will be able to make the mortar and pestle. From there, you'll be able to make flatbread. It is possible if I know I'm going to be doing a lot of experience-based stuff, meaning I'm going to go into a mine, I'm going to go whack out a whole bunch of nodes, or I'm going to be doing a whole lot of hunting and it's a fairly target-rich area. If we're going to go chop a forest down because we need a bunch of wood for something. If I'm going to do a project like that, then to me, these are the 3 foods you want. Cooked bacon is only, well, you need to find a pig. I'm not absolutely sure what in Prometheus it's called, but in Olympus and Styx, it's just a pig. And it walks around, and they're pretty. I mean, they're not everywhere, but in the forest biomes, you'll find them. They're not impossible to find. And then once you find the area, mark it so you can go back to it. Plus 25%. I'll let you figure out whether you want a plus 25% bonus to your experience. So anyways, I just wanted to save these for the last. Anyways, on to tier 2. Hey everybody, and welcome back here. So I just fast forwarded a little bit. What I've done is I basically leveled myself up to level 12. I
I tried to restrict the amount that I got myself in tier 1, right? Like not getting a lot of the stuff that was in there, just some building components. I could argue that it would have been nice to have a few of these things, but they weren't needed. So what I was trying to do is save up for tier 2. Reason being, so I could get the reservoir, the oxidizer, the furnace, and the cooking station, wood composter, some crop plots, pickaxe because, well, the watering can because that's easier to water stuff, this kinds of thing. The basic fishing bench because I wanted to be able to fish, and just the food components. Now, I didn't get honeycomb products. My reason for it was that up until where I'm playing here, I was not, I, of course, got the flatbread. I did get the beehive, but I was not able to actually get a bee. And so my beehive is empty. And so it's not working and there's no point. But anyways, what I've done is I put my rain reservoir up here. So I got a couple watering cans in there that get refilled as the rain reservoir gets filled up. And then I put plants all along the outside. Now, I do have one of the aeroponic crop plots. This is what comes out of your loadout. And I brought one of them with me just to show maybe some of the bonuses or benefits of having it and whether it's like, do I really want this? Okay, so before you ever get way up there, you can actually connect this to power and to water. You'll see the two connections on the left-hand side. Okay, so you can actually connect these. So you can see here where you get the... Automatically, you don't have to build the iron crop plots. You'll notice I've already got some benefits on the top side of this as well. Those benefits come from my talents. So I've got green thumb. So the way you can look at these is if you press to harvest, hold to toggle device. I'm going to do... You can inspect it and mouse over it. Okay. So the other thing I wanted to show you in the game, yay, I got 13th level, is plant fatigue. After harvesting this plant, it is reduced in growth speed and yield. Now this, I've seen this go, I think as high as the first time we ever encountered it was during one of our Prometheus live streams, and we had no idea they had put this in the game, so my wife was used to doing, gardening the way she was doing it, and by the time we got to it, it was at like negative 300%. She's like, the garden's just not growing and things aren't coming out of it. Well, we finally figured out that they added plant fatigue. So it's crop yield, and at like 300% or whatever we were at, we were getting no yield, like none. So you eventually have to get rid of the crop that's in here and then replant the crop that's in here. It's just something you're going to have to do. It is not fertilized. Although I do have fertilizer downstairs. Let me grab that real quick. As I go along in this food guide, I'm also going to be doing fertilizer and plots. And, oh yeah, I got that. That made me heavy. I'm going to be doing farming as I go along. My reason for it is... Oops. And where do I put that fertilizer? My wife normally does fertilize the crop. Okay. So we are now fertilized. Basic fertilizer, 1700 seconds. 15% planted crop yield, 15% planted growth crop. New tongue, sorry. 15% planted crop growth speed. Okay. So the fatigue, it counters the fatigue for a little bit. 15% duration of fertilizer. So if it's fertilized, it will last. The fertilizer will last longer. And this one does not. Oh, it still does have it. Okay. Okay. So I'm not getting too many buffs on the left-hand side. The buffs that come in will come in over here. And right now I don't have a lot of them. And the reason being is basically because I don't have the talents as yet. Now I just got a level so I can put in more talents. I don't see anything I really want. I don't much care about plants growing faster at night. But I am going to have to put my points somewhere because you need to have a certain amount of points. So in this case, I have 3 points. I do believe to get higher, to get your rank up, you need to have 5 points in each one of these. So yeah, it might be an idea to increase my stamina. Like I've put the rest of mine into like things like weight capacity, stamina, movement, crunching speed, because I need to be able to hunt. I don't often put it in there, but in this one I did. Some health and some movement speed. Another thing I'm going to be putting it in is stamina regen, right? And the ready to work, and that'll be level 3. But then all 3 of these categories, building tools and repairing, I will not be putting any points in there whatsoever. Combat, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Just for this playthrough, it's just for examples. Not going to be fishing, not going to be husbandry. I don't know how far I'm going to go in exploration, only because really, yeah, I can pack, and I can't remember if there was another pack lightly, or that's the only one. I think that's the only one. So I might go pack lightly. I might go that far. I don't know. But survival for sure. I'm going to be trying to max out as many of the cooking and farming, like bountiful, increase crop yields, evergreen, crops will not wither. These sorts of things, just to show them off. All of the bonuses from there will appear on that right-hand side, or that left-hand side, sorry, in the modifiers category. And then in order to get in there, you harvest. Okay, well, let's harvest it. You interact with it. Okay, and that'll show you all of the modifiers down here to a point where you can mouse over them. Okay, and then what's going on inside. I suggest having the water fairly close, and I suggest having a chest. I commonly put a greenhouse up on top of the house. These are open air plants that we build throughout. And then somewhere down here, I'll commonly... Can I build one? I need wooden fiber. I will commonly put a chest. Guess I'll put it down here. I'm already getting better grown by prospector. I don't know whether it's better. I don't know. But I do know that the glowing one is just stuff that's done by you. But it also means that you can't stack with like carrot seed that you've gotten out in the real world. I suggest you plant the carrot seed from the real world. Do that first, then you won't get all bunged up in mountains and mountains of seeds coming out of your garden. I don't really have a place to hold all of this food as yet, so I'm just kind of letting it rot in here, which is why I have as much rotten vegetables as I do, which I have tons, and I'm just basically dumping them all into here. Don't really know what else to do with them. I've spent a lot of time in this so far, just from leveling and such. Now, when you get the crafting bench, from that you will get the cooking station and the potbelly stove. These are findable in the tech tree, tier 2. And the basic fishing bench. But the cooking station is here, and then right above is the potbelly stove. Myself, I suggest the salting station. Now, I didn't get the ice box because where I'm at on this map, I didn't have access to ice. Okay, because you'll notice it's when supplied with ice. Okay, so I don't have ice. I'd have to go a long distance to go get it. So for that reason, basically, I did get the salting and the potbelly. Now, I think that covers what I've done, and I've done some more storage in here and whatnot, and I had to put up, of course, furnaces to be able to get the iron and stuff working to get this, that, and everything, and expand. But I mean, places like that, I don't have anything in there because I haven't taken any of the skills. I've really tried to culture this one and the tech that I've grabbed, just so that I get
And I probably would have done it a little differently if I was adventuring, especially if I was adventuring with my wife. Okay, we would have talked about it and split up the skills. So if you're playing with a partner, make sure you decide what you're going to take, what they're going to take, and then you offset that with what you're doing and what they're doing and blah, blah, blah. I do actually suggest I was going to take the fishing trap and the lures. Not necessarily the tackle box, because most of the fish that I do right now is brought back and put directly into either food or, something. Right now, I'm using cooked stringy fish or cooked stringy meat. Flatbread, only because I really want the experience. I have yet to come across a pig, so I have no bacon. Otherwise, I would be using bacon. One of these other two would be bacon. There's two types of bacon by this time now. So we had cooked bacon. You could do that in the fireplace, okay? Or in a fire pit, or in the fireplace, or in a, in a campfire. Okay, so but the crispy bacon is the new addition. Now, both of these, if you look at the abilities, are plus 15% experience gained. So you can get plus 30 with these two, and then plus 5 there. It's plus 35% experience. That is the best at this level. Remember, I'm 12th level, 13th now, heading towards 15. And in the tech tree, there's quite a few, not a lot. There's a bunch in here that are level 15 stuff. The first one that comes to mind was the masonry bench. That's the next one I am really looking forward to, because I would really like to stop having to fix this place every time I get a storm, which is something that I've had to do. With my fishing, I was able to get the freshwater fillet curry, and if I'm not out there getting experience and whatnot, I will usually switch the flatbread for the freshwater fish curry. Only because if I'm hunting and I'm out in the world, I would rather have the health and the health regeneration, the stamina regen from this, rather than 10% water consumption and some experience. Now, the stamina regen on the flatbread is really awesome, but it doesn't actually give you any base stat bonus, meaning the plus 225 to max health. If I were to get rid of the and then watch my health bar down here, and actually before I do this, can I get it? 625 health. If I eat this, I am now 850 health. Okay, huge when you're running around the world at this level. Where I'm at I call it Newbieville, because that's basically, but if I wander too far, if I try to get some ice, I'll be meeting a lot of wolves, depending upon the spawn rate on this one, as to what level you took when you went into your adventure, whatever it may be, an open world or a mission. At level 13, you don't have a lot of weapons. You need the hit points, in my opinion, which is why I build a fishing bench right away, so that I can put the freshwater fillet curry together. The fillet curry is really easy. It's soybean. I already have some being made because it was pretty easy to find soybean. Animal fat, simple to get, and of course the freshwater fish fillets, because I'm in a freshwater area. The animal fat's really easy to do because you just take raw meat, you know what I mean? Max out and make 23 more of it. Not a big deal. All of the gamey meat and such that I'm not cooking in the fireplace, because I got bunch cooked gamey meat, bunch cooked stringy meat. Yeah, I'm destroying it because the timers are wearing out and whatnot, but I don't really care, because later on in the game, we basically don't cook meat no more. The cooked stringy meat or the cooked prime meat buff is really awesome. 100 stamina, 150 health. I've said this before. 20% regeneration per minute, and then 5 experience gained. Okay, so add that to the flatbread, and you got 10% experience. Add that to a chunk of bacon, you got another 15. That's 25. Now I don't know. Hey, 25% more experience for every time you get an experience point. For every 4 experience points you get, yeah. Okay, so getting your experience up as fast as possible is very important. So anyways, I'm going to go through, I'm going to rest, sleep because it's night. So I'm going to switch over now. It's a really nice day. I'm going to switch over to showing you all the foods. So with all the additions in the Potbelly stove, there was too many to put on one screen. So I'm going to split them up between soups and stews. Okay, which they might be the first ones that you're going to start doing because they got not the simplest ingredients, but they got somewhat less. Now, the tomato soup and the fish chunk stew have a red water sign. It's just I didn't have water on me when I took the screenshot of the food. They're all the same. As long as you have a canteen of water inside the Potbelly stove, you will be able to make this. So, sweet corn soup, mushroom soup, tomato soup, fairly easy to make. One ingredient. As long as you have that ingredient, no big deal. The one I want to point out here is the sweet corn soup, which has negative 20% stamina consumed by actions. If you're going to be running into a cave, if you're going to be doing a lot of, say, chopping wood, you'll actually have negative 20% stamina consumed by actions. That's nice. Add that to the rhubarb stew, which has negative 10 overall stamina consumed. Now you're taking 30% less stamina consumed by, right. So you can see how you can put certain foods together. So the fish chunk stew as well, just having the sweet corn soup, the fish chunk stew, and the rhubarb stew all together, you will have negative 40% stamina consumed. So when you're looking at foods, this is something to keep in mind if, say, you're going to go farming. And you're not going to be in a situation where you care all that much about your health and whatnot. Otherwise, to me, the stew, the fish chunk stew, and the rhubarb stew are the three best in this particular screen. Only because I will always advocate for if you have double abilities, meaning in the stew, let's say, you got 150 maxed health, 75 max stam. I will always advocate for that, meaning that you're getting health and stamina. In the fish chunk stew, you're getting health and stamina. Now, the rhubarb stew is arguably, hey, 200 plus 225 max stam. Yeah. But if you have, say, a bunch of food on you that's all max stam and you got no max health, yeah, meet your first bear. You're going to wish you had health food on you, which is why I always advocate for the doubles rather than the single. If you had, say, a plus 225 health mixed with the rhubarb stew, okay, then, arguably, right? Looking at the second, what you could call the secondary stats rather than primary stats. So the stamina regen, the health regens, they're all nice. No arguments. But if you're going to, the ones I pay attention to are the stamina consumed by actions, max stam. Like I said, I go for, if I'm going to be going into, say, a cave and I'm going to be farming a lot, then I'm going to want to save on my stamina. I'm going to want the rhubarb stew for the 225 max stam. Just be careful when you're putting foods together that you don't put 3 stamina foods and no health together, right? Unless you're already inside the cave, get rid of your previous, the food that got you to the cave. Now you're in the cave, you've killed the stuff in there. Okay, you're good. Now you're going to be farming. Dump, jump on your stamina stuff. And you could have multiple different foods with you. This is possible. It can be a lot of trouble, but you can do it. Anyways, that's the soups and stews. So for the rest that comes out of the Potbelly stove, I like a lot of these. But once again, I will actually like the soybean stir fry, the potato and carrot fries, the fried chunky vegetables more, only because they have the dual abilities, meaning the stamina and the health. Whereas if you don't match the freshwater filet curry with something that is like the roast vegetables plus 225 stam, but if you look at the math, right now, those are better. Pay attention to that later on when you get into the tier 3 foods, because this doesn't match up the dual ability foods are actually better. Now, that being said, this stuff can get into projectile damage, whereas it can help you hunt. Sometimes I'll take roast vegetable and soybean stir fry together, and you're getting a lot of stamina. You're getting plus 20% projectile damage. I don't care about the melee damage because I don't know about you. I don't do much meleeing in this game. I do mostly bow and arrow or gun. That's just a personal preference. I don't mind, exposure resistance or health regen, but they're all like 10%. I mean, other than the freshwater fillet curry, which is plus 15, it's still him ha. But I do like the soybean stir fry in here, just because it's got dual ability, health and stam, projectile damage. It's good for hunting, some health and stamina regeneration. That's a really good food. Now, I'm not getting into the fact that you would have to go to the glacier area or the frozen area to get the mushroom. You would have to be in the forest area to have the soybean. If you're in the desert, you can have the roast vegetables with the squash, but you can't have the pumpkin and the carrot. Yeah, I'm not getting into that. Or the kumara, where are you getting that from? Okay. I'm not going to get into where these foods come from. That is probably a whole nother guide. I just want to go over kind of my way of thinking and my picks as far as the best foods in the game for me. And in this list, this particular 5 items on the screen, it's the soybean stir fry. And it's because of the projectile damage, the hunting ability on it, the health and stamina regen, and then the 150 and the 75. And yeah, the roast vegetables are nice with the other 10% projectile damage. I don't know about you guys, but I use projectiles a lot. The new one in the group is the potato and carrot fries. That wasn't there before. Potatoes weren't in the game on the last food guide that I did. So that has another 10% projectile damage. I don't mind food consumption. It's not, I don't find it that special in my list of what I look for. It just doesn't twist my whatever. So I don't really care about the potato and carrot fries other than the projectile damage. I don't really care about them. But if you put, say, the soybean stir fry together and you put the potato and carrot fries together, well, now you're looking at 20 projectile damage. You're looking at 20% health regen. You're looking at 300 maximum health and 150 stam. That's the way I kind of look at it, just to let you know my thinking on it, which is, it's just the way that I think of it. Like I said, there's a lot of stats where I just, whatever. I don't really care. Like exposure resistance, I don't really care. I'm sorry, but I don't. So the roast vegetables and the fried chunky vegetables, I don't care about those two. When it comes to the exposure resistance stat, I don't care about the fried chunky vegetables at all because I don't care about exposure resistance. I don't do melee attack. That's 2 abilities down below that I just don't care about. They don't matter to me. So why care about that? Anyways, that's basically the potbelly stove. So out of the cooking station, we got a bunch of nice stuff in here. The one I want to mention is, believe it or not, the seed cracker. At the beginning of the game, the one you're going to be able to get to the fastest is the seed cracker. And if you look at 100 max stamina and 15% consumed by tool actions, that goes back to that whole, you're going to be farming a lot and you're going to be mining and cutting and chopping and doing a lot of that at the beginning of the game. And with that going on, that's going to become an important one. But then it comes down to availability, like any other food category in this game. If you're nowhere near saltwater, you're not getting the saltwater filet sashimi. Okay, if you don't have avocados, you're not getting the stuffed avocado. It doesn't matter how good it is. If you ain't getting it, you're not getting it. But that being said, by this time in the game, you should have some crop plots now because you now have access to the. And if you brought anything with you, then in this list, beginning of the game, mixed berries. Why? 10% experience gained. Plain and simple. A hearty salad is nice with the 20 health regen, but you can get that from other foods, and it doesn't have very good with 75 and 75. So, I mean, to me, on this list, I'm looking at creamed corn, good farming. I mentioned it before. And then beyond that, the mixed berries for the experience gained. But really, I know at the beginning of the game, me and my wife, we've made seed crackers right near the beginning of plopping things down and not having to level. You know what I mean? So there's a bunch of factors when it comes down to what you're going to be able to do in this game. So this is the new food. And, this is all the food that's come out of the cooking station, but the, the seed cracker is one of the new ones that they just finished bringing, and the hearty salad with a tomato. Beyond that, some of those previous ones were in the game. Mixed berries came in a little bit later, but neither here nor there. This is basically gives you a synopsis of what's in the cooking station. I didn't show animal fat. It's pretty easy to make. You take meat and you make it into animal fat, but that is also made in the cooking station. So just like the last guide, I'm going to do a recap, and I'm going to tell you my 3 categories of farming, hunting, or experience food. In this one, it's farming food. So this is, you're going to go chop down a forest. You're going to go mine a cave. You're going to go scythe a field of wheat or something where you're going to use stamina for actions or use stamina for tools. So best food to me is sweet corn soup, 20% consumed by actions and plus 100% stamina. Next comes rhubarb stew because plus 225 maximum stamina and just 10% to all stamina consumed. Or minus 10%, sorry, to all stamina consumed. These to me are the best 2. Now, I offer some more options, of course. Seed cracker and fish chunk stew are, well, if you're going to be inside a cave, then you're going to want the seed cracker. If you're going to be out in a forest, then you probably want the fish chunk stew. Barring that, if you don't have those above options, cream corn's a fairly easy one to get to, -10. Just like fish chunk stew. I put seed cracker before it because it's plus 50 or -15 consumed by tool. And then charred corn, same thing. It's just much easier to get than the previous. And I'm going to include flatbread only because it's plus 100% stamina regeneration. That I have used it before, and wow, that's like if you're going to run across the map board, you should use that. If you're going to be chopping, mining, use that. But not at the expense of stamina consumed or stamina consumed by actions. If you can get the most you can get together by this chart is 55%. So if you can cut your stamina usage by 55%, I hope you can kind of in your head see how the math works there. Whereas I would use flatbread in situations where I don't have the options of sweet corn, rhubarb, seed cracker, fish chunk. I just don't have that option. So then I would throw flatbread in there. Anyways, that encompasses the farming food for tier 2. So tier 2 hunting. Now, what I mean by hunting is either, well, myself, I don't ever do melee hunting. So for me, it's all projectile. Meaning you're going to take your bow and you're going to go out and you're going to go kill stuff. So stew and soybean stir fry is the exact same. You'll notice that the bonuses are put into a different order, but they are exactly the same. 10% stam, 10% health, and 10% projectile damage. Your third food will be now potato and carrot fries. Only because it's got 150 health and 75 stam. That's why I put it above the roast vegetables, which are 225 stam. Now, if you're a big stam fan and you like your stamina for whatever reason, lets you run around a little bit more, then exchange those because the projectile damage is the same. Roast vegetables also has melee damage, but like I said, I'm not a melee damage guy. So saltwater fish or fillet sashimi, I put it last because it only has 75 and 75 and only 5% projectile. Now, if you are a big melee fan, then take roast vegetables, fried chicken vegetables, and wild salad. That'll give you 30% to melee damage. And that pretty much encompasses tier 2 hunting. So now it's on to the experience food. Now I put cooked gamey meat in here. Take it as all the specialty foods, meaning all 6 of them. It's the cooked prime meat buff. It has 5%. So the top on this list, of course, is cooked bacon now. And then crispy bacon, which both give 15% each. It means you're gonna have to find pigs. They do exist on the map. So then mixed berries. Now, I personally have never found a strawberry in the wild. Me and my wife, all the times that we've played this since they added strawberries to the game, we've brought strawberries along with us. So by this time, you should be able to get this one without too much problem, and then add that, cooked gamey meat and flatbread if you've never found a pig. just like me in this one. I'm now 13th level. I've been around newbie land quite a bit, gathering stuff and doing stuff and leveling myself up and whatnot, and I still haven't found a pig. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that I just still haven't found one. I'm missing out on 30% experience. So, I mean, I'm able to get 20 out of the mixed berries, the gamey meat, and, well, whatever, the cooked prime meat and the flatbread. But yeah, that's your choices at this level. I'm really glad they go up when we go to tier 3. But anyway, so that will conclude the tier 2 end of this. And now it's head on to tier 3. Hey everybody, and we're back again. So I'm just about level 130. It's taken me this long to get basically my proverbial shtick together here. Just some changes. First of all, it's in the garden. I now have beehives, and the beehives now, if I can find a garden. So the beehives gives you this buff. It's an aura effect, nearby beehive, plus 50% planted crop yield. I still have yet to hook this one up to water. And of course, I'm only tier 3, so I don't have power. But I have gotten myself like Bountiful, Night Bloom, Speed Grow. Because I am near enough to the greenhouse, this one's getting the greenhouse buff. The fertilized is still part of the talent tree. Evergreen, my plants will not wither. That's one of the most important ones as far as I'm concerned. Crop resources will take longer to spoil. All of these things come from my talent tree, which is, like I said, I was going to take the ones that, to me, are important in the cooking and farming. Now, the one that you don't need is the food pyramid. It's +1 space in the stomach. What it means is that I can now have 4 food buffs, which is what I'm running now. But it's 1 point that you can't put somewhere else. Now, I didn't take a bunch in here, only because, I mean, you could argue me this one, and I'll probably be getting it later, but I wanted all the growth stuff first, meaning I didn't take crafted campfire consumes less fuel. I didn't care. I did take the neat and tidy, but then I didn't go for being able to make like gunpowder. I didn't care. Or the rusty shotgun. From foraging, melee damage, all the rest of these things, vegetable modifier, meat modifier. Yeah. I mean, I don't eat too much dried meat anymore. I don't eat too much straight 100% vegetables anymore. So I don't see the point in those ones. Always confused me why this stuff is way up here. And you need to have like a certain level in cooking to be able to eat raw foods, better nutrition and then eat spoiled food. Yeah, I don't really want to eat raw food and spoiled food, thanks. Melee damage, like I said before, I'm not a melee guy. So I did, however, take like Bountiful, Evergreen, Hardy, the 1 extra space, Speed Grow, Fertilize, well, of course, the Stamina. I mean, if you're going to be in this tree, you might as well get the Stamina. But, I mean, 20% food effects duration. You have to take it anyway. Well, you don't have to, but you can get there through this tree, or this part of the tree. But 20% food effects duration, yeah, I'll take that. Green Thumb, Night Bloom. I mean, eventually, yes, I want to get Night Bloom because it helps in the growth rate. So now I probably will, of course, go for this one, but I didn't see a point in it right away. I have taken a couple of other things, just some weight capacity, some movement speed. I did put one in bow agility because I am going to go bows with this guy now. But yeah, most of it has been in the cooking and farming. Solo, I made it all the way down to experience. Lone Wolf, it's a good one to get. I don't want this to be a how to, spec yourself out kind of, but I wanted to show you how, look at all the bonuses I get. All of these bonuses, other than the bee, all these bonuses here come from, other than the bee, come from that tree. It is an important tree to get. Epic pen, and keeps going back. So now I built the greenhouse as well. Now inside the greenhouse, I drop a beehive right in the center of it. Okay, so that everything around it gets bonuses. This has iron crop plots, and I have the biofuel water pumps. Thank you very much for making those.
because back in the day they didn't have them. And I make everything that I need in here, like avocados and mushrooms and, strawberries and tomato and all the things that I need. Because if you notice what kind of foods I'm having now, it's shepherd's roll, savory roll, vegetable roll, and the fruit muffin. Fruit muffins for the plus 35% experience, which is why I'm level 29. So yeah, I've switched over to the metal one. I still don't have it hooked up to water, but it is available if I need it. And the way I organize myself is that my water pumps are right below it. So it's pretty easy for me to hook this up if I need. I haven't needed it. I mean, I get pretty close, but then another storm rolls in and it fills up my water cans. And I'm a little negligent on the farming, seeing as how I'm kind of so used to my wife doing it. I get a little laxed and behind on it. Inside, I now have the kitchen bench and the biofuel stove. Okay. And inside kitchen bench, I'll go through all of this stuff. You do have to hook this stuff up to water. My water connection is hidden underneath this crossbar or whatever stone. And I run it all the way around the building. But I do it in a way so that basically it's hidden from view. Like you can see how I come out from the wall. And it's not really noticeable. If I get off of the water tool, you can't really see how the fact that my water is connected to all the stuff that needs water. Okay, so anyways, and of course I go for the metal cabinets because they're just way better. That opens up the top end of basically my house, my structure. And when I get up to tier 4, I'm going to electrify the place, put up lights, all the rest of that. I'm still working off torches. So yeah, I got some concrete in places. I didn't put like wooden cross member over top of that because that'll light on fire. I'm still using the cooking station only because it works really well to hold things. And although I can transfer raw meat and make animal fat in the kitchen bench, I don't need the cooking station, but I find it's a really nice storage area. Seeing as how, the areas are the same size, but these things can get rather filled. So I keep the kitchen bench around for a while. The potbelly stove is still back here. I'm probably going to be getting rid of it fairly quick. My salting station went right beside it. The biofuel stove takes care of everything that is in the potbelly now. Just like before the potbelly took over from the fireplace and the fire pit, the biofuel stove now takes over from the potbelly stove. So I don't really need it. I just haven't gotten rid of it. The other thing that you may or may not have noticed is that I don't have a lot of, let's call it creature comforts. I never went for them in the tech tree, meaning I don't have rugs and I don't have, the things in here that would help me out. Now, I didn't do it because I was struggling and striving to get just the farming stuff, just the food stuff, just that stuff together. Part of that was skipping over stuff like rugs and furniture, and if I were to go looking for some of it, like the alteration bench to alter my gear, there's a bench in here for making your stuff look good. Like I did get the advanced textiles, but I never did get any of the armor. I got the advanced masonry, but I never did get the scoria because I just haven't found a thing of it yet. I did get the basic set of concrete because, I knew that if I didn't have concrete on these center poles, and that's the only concrete I got, those would light on fire because of my torches. When I switch over to lights, don't need that anymore. I use the wooden structure up top to hang my lights on. And I have lots of space to expand, lots of space. This is kind of my generic build of what I use. I got a couple of fish traps off the side. They're chock full right now. And of course I have lures in them and whatnot. I find 2 advanced traps are more than enough for myself and my wife. We've never had a problem with it. And the smoker takes over for the drying rack. It adds a few other things into it, and I'll get into all the foods and everything that you can make and whatnot from that. Other than that, I did find bees, so I do have bees working, and I got honey being made. I don't have the extra stuff, any of the add-ons to the beehive quite yet. I think that pretty much covers it. These are all iron crop plots up top and wood crop plots out around, and they encompass the whole entire outside. So I'm making and growing everything that you would need to have any kind of food you want. I like having choice. I don't have a fridge yet, so the pantry does get lots of spoiled plants, lots of spoiled meat, lots of waste going on here. I'm not going to say I don't care. I do care, but I let it go. I also found bacon. So I found, boars. But because I am now on to the rolls and the muffin, you'll notice that the rolls are I'll go through this, but that's why I'm not caring about the bacon. It is better with 15% and 15%, but when it comes right down to it, I'm sitting with 80% experience bonus right now, which means it's why I'm like just before level 30. And once I hit level 30, then I'm probably going to go to 40 or some before I do the tier 4 recap of this food guide. So I've pretty much shown you the base. I try to hide all my lines. I try to fit everything into the way that just me and my wife have gotten used to doing things. I basically covered everything. So, okay, I'm going to run around to my favorite spot. And I'm going to go through all the different foods as we stare at this beautiful scenery. So the first recap we're going to do is the smoker. Inside the smoker, we're going to find all of these 6 specialty meats, or what I call specialty meats. And, well, pretty much these are all an upgrade. They all come with some sort of additive like salt or gorse flour, or soybean or coca, coffee bean, watermelon, wild berry, yada yada. I mean, it's pretty easy stuff to get. Finding the boar and then finding a cave with bees in it, yeah, but they're not that hard. I mean, really, when it comes down to it, it's not that hard to get this stuff. It's fairly easily findable. So when it comes right down to it, I'm going to call it easy. But anyway, some notables in here would be the plain jerky with 60% health regen. All of it comes with some sort of consumption, meaning food consumption, water consumption, oxygen consumption, some sort of bonus in there. The cocoa smoked soft meat has a 40% food consumption. Some other ones would be, there's some combat food in here. The gorse smoked gamey meat is 25% melee damage. The stringy jerky is melee attack speed. I'm not a melee guy, but I mean, this stuff is there if it's what whatever floats your boat, right? When it comes down to a lot of the foods that come out of the smoker or the drying rack, they seem to rely a lot or lean heavily towards the consumption, the generations, like health generation, stamina generation, but not so much on the total amount, like total amount of health or total amount of stamina. So it's a give and take thing. The other notable would be if you're going hunting, get coffee smoked fatty T-bone. Not an easy one to get because of where fatty T-bones come from. Okay, they're bear meat, but 50% yield from butchering animals. If you actually get a bear, save a couple of your fatty T-bones for this. If you get them from the bear. The rest of them, yeah, I mean, you could argue this or that, but that pretty much. And then the other one to mention, of course, is the honey smoked bacon. 15% experience gained, as well as, food consumption, generation, and then food effects duration as well on that one, meaning it makes things last longer. Next comes the kitchen bench. To me, this is a team bench. This section of it is basically for team play, and the reason is that almost all of these foods come with a bonus to shared experience gained. Now, I put the berry jam and the pickled carrot first because when you get to this kitchen bench and you actually make it, and then you get the glass bench and you can actually make the glass jars, wild berries and carrots are, they're everywhere in the forest biome and very easy to get. And so this ends up being something that myself and my wife, when we're, playing our stuff, we use this quite a bit.
Don't care about the water consumption, but together, the 30% shared experience and then the 20% projectile, because of course we're both melee or we're both missile players. It's huge. It really is. Some other notables in here, they got some new stuff. I mean, when they brought out avocados and strawberries and whatnot, they of course added that stuff in. But the strawberry jam, the plus 20% experience gained. Wow. Nice stuff. You know what I mean? The other one would be if you're going to go into a mine, the honey mead with plus 100% stamina regen. And then, of course, 30% food effects duration. If you're sporting some really good farming food, you can extend your food buffs going into the mine, and then on top of that, you're getting 100% stamina regen. You can add more to that with another food. I'll show it when I do my recap of like farming food. And if you can get like 200% stamina regen. It's insane what it can get to. And then if you start using, lesser stuff on tools and whatnot, it's wow. Anyways, I digress. I do enjoy these foods, but to me, in my playthroughs anyways, these are somewhat short-lived because then you can move on to better foods. Not bashing this stuff, but it does have a short shelf life. And then I end up crushing the glass jars back into glass to put back into, like making a greenhouse and stuff like that. So the next one is the biofuel stove. Now, to me, I put these into an order that I like. That doesn't mean that, there's lousy stuff other places, but the bread, not useful. By the time you get here, you're going to have pumpkins and seeds and other stuff. So not really useful. The pumpkin bread, a lot of times you get here and maybe you're at a point in your playthrough that all you have is some bread dough and some pumpkin. So, hey, nothing wrong with 15 experience gained. The seed bread, it's a new one, but I still like it. But I like it a little bit better, believe it or not, than the pumpkin bread because 20% stamina consumed by tool actions. Nice. And, of course, 15 experience gained. The crumb saltwater fillet, well, you have to be in salt water for that to be useful. You could argue me it's not, I don't know. I don't see it as being all that spectacular. By the time you get to this level, 10% experience gained is not that much. The honey glazed pastry. Okay. 35% food effects duration. It's one of the higher ones out there. And 15% experience gained. Fairly easy to make. I never showed bread dough is made from flour and yeast, and pastry is animal fat and flour. Yeah, I'm going by memory there. Yeah. So the pastries are made in the rolls. The bread dough is, done in all this stuff. It's fairly easy stuff to make, but you do have to find wheat, forest biome, or bring it from the loadout, bring it from your workshop. So the pastry's not that much harder than the bread dough, is what I'm getting at. Meaning that honey glazed pastry is fairly easy. Now, my favorite, fruit muffin. 225 stamina, 20% water consumption, who cares? But 35% experience gained. Woo! As far as something in a single food item, yep, nice stuff. Okay, so that pretty much takes care of that. Now, like I said, I mean, these are in an order and they're in my order, but I mean, who cares, right? Anyways, the next set, I'm going to tackle all the pies. Now, as far as the pies in the game, we had 3 to start. And then we got the shepherd's pie and then the fish pie, as far as like when we got them in the game. I was always a favorite of the pies because you're not quite at the rolls quite yet. Like you're not quite there. You don't quite have all the ingredients for that stuff. But the pies to me are still a lesser version of the rolls. So anyways, let's go through them. Most of this is consumption. They're all 10% experience gained, all of it. It's whether you're in the right biome. It's whether you brought stuff from home. All this is fairly easily gotten, but you have to be like the fish pie is a hard one. When are you going to be in freshwater and saltwater? Not easy to get. And if you look at it, it's nice, but it's not. It doesn't break the bank personally. I like the shepherd's pie with the health regeneration, 40% before I do the fish pie. I like the vegetable pie, you know what I mean, before I try to get the fish pie. Just because getting a freshwater and a saltwater fish fillet together, yeah, not easy. So I end up canceling that fish pie out, and I just don't really struggle for it. But the fruit, the meat, the vegetable, and then I'll interchange the shepherds in there, depending upon what biome I'm in and where we're at in our playthrough. The shepherd's pie is a new one because that's potato and tomatoes. We originally had the fruit, the meat, and the vegetable, and we used to use those all the time. But once again, we'd bring stuff from home or from the loadout and land with it, like mushrooms, so we didn't have to go to the frost biome, you know what I mean, or the frozen biome. You can find the rest of that stuff on the top row fairly easily, like the pumpkin, the corn, the soy, and the wild berry and the watermelon. That's all fairly easy. The squash, a little harder. It comes from the whatchamacallit. It comes from the desert biome, so it's a little bit harder. And the mushrooms come from the caves. But if you bring it all from home, pies are very easy to get to, very easy to make. Not gonna break the bank too much anyways. The rolls. Okay. So to me, these are where I end up. You'll notice when I did my little introduction to tier 3 here, this is what I was using. Overall, to me, these are some of the best if you bring stuff from home. The avocado, the kumari, and the rhubarb. You have to complete simple 3 missions. I'm going to run through this at the end, but you have to complete simple 3 missions to get that stuff. The mushroom from the caves. The carrots, easy to get. Pumpkin, easy to get. Soybean, easy to get. The raw meat, of course, easy to get. The pastry, simple to make. Find yourself some wheat, you got it. To me, this stuff is the 150. So you get 300 health between the vegetable and the shepherd's roll. You get 300 health and 300 stamp. And then the savory roll on top of that's 225 health, woohoo, and 75 stamp. The oxygen consumption, the food consumption, it's nice, it's great, it's 30%, so yeah. The health regen. I mean, all of these things, like 60% health regen, they're all 10% experience. I don't really care much in the shepherd's roll. I don't really care much about the 15 melee attack speed and the 15 projectile, but I'm not going to argue with it. Excuse me. The health regen, 30, 30, and 15. So you're looking at 75% health regeneration. Wow. Between these 3, it's just, and then the amount your bar is going to go up. It's phenomenal with this stuff. To me, these are, if I'm not doing anything special, if I'm not farming, or if I'm not looking for experience, like more experience than what these guys give, this is my mainstay food. Just the way it goes. Anyways, that encompasses the biofuel stove. And let's do a recap. Okay, so the tier 3 recap for farming food. Now, I should have explained this earlier. So in here, you'll see rhubarb stew is negative 10% stamina consumed. Sweet corn soup is negative 20% stamina consumed by actions. And then seed bread is negative 20% stamina consumed by tool actions. 3 different categories. Now, for my purposes and for what I'm putting this up here, and farming food for me is you're going to take an item, a tool, like an axe, a scythe, or a pick, and you're going to go into a mine, into a forest, or into a field, and you're going to use that tool to farm items. Okay? And that's why all 3 of these fall under tool actions. They do. Okay? Even though it just says consumed by actions, well, actions is still a tool action. Here's the difference. If you're going to run across the map board, you better have rhubarb stew and fish chunk stew. Why? Because then it's negative 20% stamina consumed. If you're going to be jumping and sprinting, you could also use the sweet corn soup because those are actions. But what you wouldn't want to do is take the seed bread and the seed cracker and use those and think they're going to help you because those are tool actions. So that's how this gets split up. Now, as the foods that I put up there, the sweet corn soup to me is the best and the seed bread is the next. Now, the vegetable pie does come in ahead of the seed cracker, only because, well, vegetable pie is better than a seed cracker, but seed cracker is so easy to make. So I wanted to include all the foods. This is, a recap. Cream corn, rhubarb stew, and fish chunk stew. I did put all of those there because they are fairly easy to make, fairly easy to get the stuff together for. The flatbread, another one that's fairly easy to get together. But I put the flatbread and the honey mead there because 100% stamina regen. Okay, this is huge. So to me, if you have 4 spaces in your stomach, like I do in this playthrough, sweet corn soup, seed bread, vegetable pie, and then, if I have the ingredients, honey mead. Huge. I've done this before where I've gone into a mine and totally outmined other people that I was mining with. And I've done it. This is how I did it. Okay. So having the sweet corn soup and the seed bread, you're looking at 40%. Vegetable pie, you're looking at 55, and then you add the honey mead and you get plus 30% food effects duration, meaning that all of this stuff lasts longer. 30% on top of 900 seconds, that'd be about another 300, 285, whatever. You're looking at 1100 seconds on the sweet bread modifier or the corn soup modifier. So I mean, you could go for 4 spices in your stomach. You could go for sweet corn, seed bread, vegetable pie, and seed cracker. And now you're looking at 60%, 40, 55 plus 15. You're looking at 70% less stamina. It's notable. You will see the difference. Absolutely. I don't really suggest using the seed cracker when you're out in the forest, though, because you could get backstabbed by something. Your sweet corn soup and seed bread, you're already at through 250 stamina, but no health, which is why you want the vegetable pie in there for the health. You could go with the honey mead, but once again, you don't have any hit points. So be careful when you're mixing and matching this stuff together. Anyways, okay, so for the tier 3 hunting food, well, I mean, you basically have to go with the shepherd's roll. That's kind of a mainstay. Only because it's projectile and melee. It's nice food. The pickled carrots. Okay, so when both myself and my wife were still leveling, we liked this because we got 20% shared experience. And once again, we are both missile players. We don't melee. I included the stew and the soybean stir fry, of course. They're the same as far as buffs go. Slightly different ingredients, and it's a different buff, so you can have both of them, but it's the exact same if you look at the breakdown. Roast veggies, not same, nice. Works both melee and projectile. I like the stew and the soybean better because you get more health when you're out hunting. Yeah, you're going to want some stamina to run through the bush, yeah, but the shepherd's roll will give you that. And then 75 on the soybean. So you could argue the two. I'm not a big fan of single stat foods, meaning roast vegetables has a single stat on it, the 225 to maximum stamina. It's nice, no arguments, but I'd rather have stamina and health. I'd call me strange. I included the potatoes and carrots. It's a new food. The projectile damage. It's not super, but it's there, and 150-75. It's the same as the stew and the soybean stir fry. It's just, I don't know. I don't think it's as easy to get because you need potatoes. I don't know where to find potatoes in the out in the world. We have so far we've been bringing it from our loadout. I have no idea where to find potato. I should probably look it up. But anyway, it's almost exactly the same as the stew and the soybean stir fry, meaning it's 150 health and 75 stam, with some health regen and some food consumption. A little different than the stew and the soybean. Pretty much the same. 10 projectile damage. The vegetable pie. So if you're a melee person, I included that because, well, I don't do melee, folks. I just don't. But shepherd's roll, roast vegetables, vegetable pie, you're looking at 10, 15, and 15. So you're looking at 40% melee damage. If you want to go out there and go stick stuff with a sticker, I don't know, poker, knife, whatever, hey, go hard. They give you shields in the game. So, I mean, go hard. It's not something I do. I'd rather shoot you from afar. And I included the coffee smoked fatty T-bone because if you have a fourth spot in your stomach, if you're out hunting, well, you're probably skinning and plus 50% yield from butchering animals. It's actually quite huge. We go farming and hunting because we want what we get from butchering them, right? Yeah. So if you have the spot in your stomach, if you want to take it, it's fairly, you got to kill a bear for it. But once you get that bear killed, or if you're in bear territory, it's actually pretty easy to get fatty T-bones. Anyways, that's your hunting. And now for experience food. So to me, at this level at tier 3, fruit muffin is the best. I mean, it's just there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But here's the thing. Any of the pies, any of the rolls, all have 10%. All of them. And depending upon how you view things, they're much better than the pumpkin bread, the honey glazed pastry, the seed bread, just because they have more stats, more base stats, more stamina, more health. The honey smoked bacon has some nice stuff with food consumption, food effects duration, 15 experience, like the rest of them. Well, the rest of the other ones, not including fruit muffin. So in my view, anyways, right at the beginning of this tier 3 excerpt, you'll notice that I was eating 3 rolls and the fruit muffin, and I had 80% bonus to my experience. You could tweak it. You could try to pull 5% more per food, meaning exchange one of the rolls for the pumpkin bread, let's say. Okay, so you're gaining 5% experience, but you're losing how much for the roll? Like how much on which roll do you get rid of? So it's just, for me anyways, this category comes down to what you have available. Strawberries can only come from the loadout. So if you haven't been able to do any simple 3 missions and you haven't gotten the strawberries, well, then you're foobar, aren't you? So you're not going to be using the fruit muffin, which means go to the pumpkin bread. Much easier to make the pumpkin bread. If you have honey, you've made it to a cave. It's probably, then move over to the pastry, the honey glazed pastry. If not, seed bread is probably the easiest one to make. So this comes down to what you have available. If you've been able to kill a pig, well, great, fantastic. You can make crispy bacon, or you can make the honey smoked bacon, either one of those. So I would love to say, here's 3 experience foods and go with it. But I'll be honest with you, I usually end up using rolls, right? And then adding the fruit muffin on top of it. It's just 2 rolls and a fruit muffin. You pick and choose which one it works for you. That's just the way I look at this category. Hey, leave me a comment down below. And if you've made it this far, hey, smash that like button and hit the subscribe. Yeah. Anyway, so that's the end of the recaps for Tier 3. I'm going to move on to Tier 4.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. So this is Tier 4. I've made a barn. I've done a bunch of things. I'm not really happy about this, but I put this in the wrong spot. It's the foundry. Everything else is still pretty much the same. Made a barn. I had to do the contact device to get a couple things going. Barn's got, animals such as that. Pretty much everything is the same here. Inside, I opted for the Tier 4 electric stuff. Now, you don't need to, because if you look inside, it's all the same stuff. Really, it is. There's no difference and no new foods in either bench. They do take care of everything, so you'll notice that the kitchen bench is gone. I still never removed the potbelly stove. I probably should have. But the big difference here is the plumbed sink. Now, it's not time enough, but if I do this, I get
the recently washed buff. Part of this is the sleep quality. Yeah, it's got some other stuff to it, but it's only 100 and some seconds. So really, feasibly, it's not, it's 120 seconds. It's like, not enough. It's 2 minutes. But you can wash your hands and then go to bed. And the buff, if you look, it says small crafting boost affects marble kitchen bench and electric stove. So that plus 10% crafting speed is only for the marble kitchen bench and the electric stove. So if you're going to make the one, then, it helps for all the foods that you make in the other two devices. So if you do the one, you're going to have to do the others. So I'm sitting at like 1,400 hit points. I've opted to get rid of the muffins. And I went for the freshwater filet curry, only because I'm in freshwater and it's right here. I'm using the honey meat as well for the regen. So my stamina regen is 7.72 per minute. Okay, which, if I were to go for a run, you'll notice how big my bar is down there. Okay, and if I run around a little bit here, zoom. Okay, it's fast. And I can actually get it to regen if I do a lot of jumping. So it works. It's, well, basically I sit around the 3 point something mark. And then with the honey meat, it's plus 100%. So it bumps me up to 7.72. 7.728, but you know what I mean. I still opt for the, let's drag them over here real quick. I still opt for the rolls and whatnot. I'll get to that in just a second. What I wanted to do was show you two things. One was in the farming. So I set up one hydroponic, in iron, and of course the rest are all wood. Okay, and the aeroponic that comes from. So let me show you what that looks like. Now, when I took the screenshot, I had run out of bees in my beehive. Press to harvest, to harvest, to harvest. Yeah, but I don't want to harvest them. Okay, well, let's... Huh. I was hoping not to harvest it. I wanted to get in there and... Oh, well. So the beehive, it's extra planted crop yield. Okay. The other thing I wanted to show you was that just gave me... let's get rid of that. That just gave me 36 strawberries. Now, I'm using the titanium sickle, and then I got the Reaper 2 attachment in it from the whatchamacallit. Okay. What this does is it gives me plus 50% yield from reaping plants. Now, I don't care about the hemorrhage on hit part, okay? But in the iron crop plot, with all of the buffs, I just got 36. That just gave me double at 53. 53 and 2 seeds. That's another 119 total. So you're seeing it, right? 75 for that one. Let's let that go away. And 66 for that one. 64, and the best one there is. Oh, covered it up. So, and here's the difference also, is that I have some, and you'll notice where it says 65% time before spoiling. Okay, and this other stuff is 40% time before spoiling. Not a huge difference, but they did give you generational seeds, meaning throughout my growth period here, I've been able to get 10 of these plus 65 and the rest all at 40. I think carrots is the only other one I was able to do that with. I might have planted all the carrots that have 65%. But so the garden's doing very well. Of course, keep a beehive in the center of it. And then all of these plots as well have the greenhouse effect on them. So you can be at length the latter end of 2 spaces away. Okay, and I'm still getting, and even in the corners, I'm still getting that buff. Okay, so I'm still getting the greenhouse buff right here in the corner, being this far away. So with beehives, they'll go, they're not, I mean, you run out of it eventually. Beehives only work up to here. So it's only the plants right in the corner. So I'm missing up to here. So I'm only missing 3 plots or so in the middle of these with where I've put my beehives. Okay. I could probably do it a bit better if I were to maybe lay this flat and then not have the greenhouse in the center. I could do it a little bit better. I could, but yeah, I'm not too worried about it. So if you harvest, let's go with wheat. There's 31 and 2 seeds. But if I use the scythe, 44. Trying to let that go away. 62. In the right-hand part of the screen, you can see 35. 53. Okay. So it's a lot better to go with a sickle at your stuff. Now, the crop plots themselves, let's go with these two. So these two were crops without water. So that's a wood crop plot, no water, 155. Wood crop plot with water, 205. Okay. So I would have to go around and water it all. It's plus 50% is what you get from the water. Okay. So, yeah. Then from the wood to the iron, you're not gaining anything as far as speed goes. Because if you look at the buffs in the wood crop plot to the iron, so the only thing you're gaining in the iron is that you can hook it up to water, which I've done in the whole entire greenhouse. Okay, that increases all of my crop 50% across the board. Now this, you'll notice there's no bees. Okay, when I took the screenshots, that I had run out of bees. Okay, bees are for yield. So just imagine you're going to get more yield out of anything with a bee. The hydroponic crop plot, which is the best crop plot in the game, will give you yet another 50% increase. Okay? Meaning I have powered it, I have watered it, I'm getting all of the same buffs. I'll show you what this one, I'll mouse over this one when I open up the plot so I can show you. And then the one we bring from, and now notice these are all strawberries. Okay? All the same strawberry seed, by the way. Okay? I just wanted to show you, and they're all fertilizered. And then, so 280% was the best speed I could get out of an aeroponic, fully supplied crop plot. If you really want to bring these with you, I mean, hey, go right ahead. Other than I could plunk it down right at the beginning of the game and have a really nice crop plot to begin with, and then water it. You can't power it, but water it. Okay. So they were nice, and I brought one with me just to show you all the buffs and everything. So when you're thinking about what you're going to bring, okay, the buff is perfect lighting, 50% planted crop growth speed. I don't know. It's crop speed is increased by hydroponic lights. I mean, they don't show them, okay, but that is the buff. So it's an extra 50% on top of, and they both get it. Okay. Now, plant fatigue still comes in. You'll notice in the pictures, and now that I've, whatchamacallit them, they all get 10% fatigue now. So the yield is down, and the speed is down, and you're going to have to redo. And like I said, I've been able to, with the strawberries, I've been able to get a bonus. I don't know where I got that from. It is not in any of my talents. I took everything that I could in the farming tree other than stuff I didn't see, like vegetable modifier effectiveness, dried meat effectiveness. I didn't really care about any of that stuff, but anything speed grow, bountiful. I absolutely need to get the evergreen mod, or the evergreen talent, as fast as possible. I believe you're going to need 15 points for this one in the total tree, like in right? Like I've got it further because I've taken more, but you're going to need to get 15 points. Snag a screenshot if you wish. I don't care about these ones that are blanked out. I mean, you take a look at them, something in there looks good to you, you go ahead. But I took the stuff that makes a difference, meaning green thumb, night bloom, neat and tidy, speed grow, and then, of course, getting down to plants don't wither. Now, I did get the extra space in my stomach. On top of that, I took Hardy 1 in my chest armor. You'll find it in your, whatchamacallit? I'll show you that real quick here. You'll find that in the advanced alteration bench. Under chest armors, recovery, nutrition attachment. Okay. So it's under the armor category. You get one more space in your stomach. So I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces in my stomach. Okay. If you really, I don't usually go for 5. I go for 4. I don't usually take the talent. Okay. I leave that one out. But because I took sturdy stalks, right? Planted crops spoil slower when harvested. So all of my plants, because I can't put everything in the deep freeze, so all of my plants end up in here, which a full plant is like 14,000 seconds before that stuff spoils. It's nice because even inside a refrigerator, this stuff still spoils. So it's nice to be able to keep, you know what I mean, a couple of fridges full of all the things that I like to have on hand, right? I'm getting into coffee and tea in this one because eventually I'll be doing a little bit more in the Arctic. I stuck my nose in there, but I didn't go very far. Do I need 3 fridges? Well, not really. Do I need 2 deep freezes? Well, not really. The ice from the deep freezes. I usually like to keep one space open. And you'll notice I'm not using the coffee smoked fatty T-bone. I do have it. I was able to kill a couple bears. The 50% yield from butchering animals. I will swap out either the fish fodder filet curry or the honey mead, okay, for that fatty T-bone. And so I just wanted to show you what I keep. Now, I do still have some fruit muffins, but because I'm now 60th level, because I now have all the techs that I want, right, and what I figure is need. Yeah, there's a couple more, but I'm still going to be leveling. I will get, I mean, the heater, not the air conditioner, unless I go to the desert, right, the air conditioner, or the heater if I'm going to be in the cold. Those are nice. You'll notice I don't have the electric humidifier. I mean, I don't have a lot of stuff. Could you actually use the water borer? Whatever. I like the ice borer first because then I can start getting ice and I might get into... Is it in the previous tree? It is. Wow, really? Okay. I might get into this cold steel stuff, okay, which freezes your enemy. The spear, where are they? The cold steel arrows. A little expensive, but cold steel ingots aren't the end of the world when you have steel and the ice from the ice borer machine. It's right here. Okay, so you can go take it, biofuel, power drill. I think there's an electric version up in Tier 4. But you take some biofuel, you go plunk this down, right? Extracting super cooled ice from Arctic areas. You come grab the ice, you bring it back to your base, and then you turn that into cold steel. Okay, and those ones, you get a 50% chance to freeze enemies on attack. I mean, yeah, nice. On that, I mean, I built all of the stuff you need. I do have a couple of these going because I have a wealth of strawberries coming out, and so I now make 2 of them. And then, of course, scientific bench, turn that into the better stuff, have some storage around because you're going to need it. I do have a problem with sulfur, though. On my map, I do have, down here, was the closest sulfur that I could find. So what these are, oh, it's nighttime. Okay, so wash hands. I might as well get into this before I get into that. Wash your hands, quickly run down, have a nice place. I have total coziness of 264. The effectiveness is 224%. When I sleep, I get the sleep buff. This buff is very, very important. I might as well get into this now. this well-rested buff, I haven't touched upon it, okay, but you can get this buff all across the game. So let's drag this in here. Okay, so that's my most recent. That's what this basically comes out as 23 health regen, max health, max stam regen, food consumption, water consumption. And it lasts for as long as your level. Okay, so when I first started, I was only getting 10%, 5%, 12, and then 17, and then 20 as I gained in my room. Meaning, as I got total coziness up, the duration goes longer and the effectiveness goes up. So that's, and it you cannot ignore this, okay? Now, I didn't touch upon this for a lot in this, because this was more about food and farming, rather than the well-rested buff. This is more probably gameplay. Okay, but if you get the recently washed, it increases sleep quality by 15%, which increases your well-rested by 15%, because it increases sleep quality. Could I do more in here? Yep, I think 300 is the max coziness. I'm not sure, everybody. Okay. But I mean, I was able to get a buffalo and the bear rug, and I mean, I could get. I did get into the Arctic. I did kill one of these, so I did snag it. I think I got a couple. Yeah, I got a wolf. The one bit, 2 bears I killed. I really should have grabbed a buffalo for which one called, but yeah. Anyways, and then some fishing trophies, and the aquariums and whatnot that are in there. Just as a side note. Supply at night when there's no sun, because I do have a couple solar panels out there. So I'm up above, but I do have 4 banks of batteries up there, just in case. Okay, so each one holds 6, so I got 24 million sitting there. Yeah, I don't like running out of power, especially when you got 3 fridges and 2 deep freezes. All of this stuff could go bad really quick. So in-game food. Instead of going to my favorite spot out back, because I now have a house in the way. Let's go here. Okay, so end-game food. I'm still using the vegetable roll. I'm still using the savory roll. I'm still using the shepherd's roll. Okay, now, every once in a while, when I'm running away, and I'm going to say... I know I'm going to be grabbing some animals and whatnot. I do have a few fatty T-bones left over from when I killed that bear. Okay. So I still use them. I am not using... That's a good place for it. I'm not using the fruit muffin anymore. Okay. My reason being, I've reached 60th level. I pretty much got all the talents and everything that I want and I need. And then the honey mead. So... for my purposes anyways, the honey mead is for the 100% stam regen. I like the 30 food effects duration. I do, but I really like the stamina regen. Okay, it really helps when you burn that bar and then just stand for a second. It comes back. Now the health regen. I mean, you're looking at 75%, right? I mean, it is huge. I got into a couple fights. I've killed a couple polar bears. They do get in on you unless you get up someplace high where they can't reach you or something. Cheat yourself up a wall. Not that I haven't done it, but unless you do all that. So the food consumption I don't care about. My reason being is that these timers down here, okay, that stuff will run out before that food consumption timer ever comes into effect. It really does. It's water consumption. Now, the fruit muffin has the only one, and I don't care about it. I run around with a canteen. At this point in time in the game, you should, even if you didn't bring the Lodo canteen, you should have a canteen. Oxygen consumption, nice. I do have an oxygen bottle, but, it doesn't come into play. I actually end up forgetting about my oxygen far too often, and then all of a sudden looking down and going, oh, shoot, this is starting to empty. Oh, no. Yeah. So you'll notice that my food consumption, I'm down at 80% left, and my timers are starting to run out. Okay. Your rested buff should last most of a day. Oh, coffee. Okay, most of a day. Once you get it up here, and you can get it up even further than I have. The health, stam, and then depending on which one I'm using, whether it be the honey meat or the cooked fatty T-bone, more health. I said fruit muffin's gone by this time, but the I don't really care about attack speed and projectile damage at this point in time. I'm not going to argue with it. And then 10%, 10%, 10%, all nice. Exposure resistance, I don't spend much time outside. If I do get caught out there, it's a mistake. It wasn't something. And then the stamina regeneration, as well as the stamina regeneration down here. So at 115%, yeah, it's nice. Which is why you'll find me basically with honey mead. And then I also use... I also use... Where is it? The fish pie. I didn't put up the fish pie. What am I doing? Or not fish pie. No, it's fresh water. Where the heck are you? Fish pie. Okay, well, you know what? We're going to have to get rid of all those. Freshwater fish fillet. I never took a picture of it. Okay, cool. Yeah, because it's made in the biofuel stove. Yeah. It's down here. Do. Sorry about this. Wow. Okay. So, you get yourself all ready and ready to rock and roll and ready to go, and then yeah. Okay. The fresh water. There we go. Okay. So, now, where was I? The, as well as, I'm not going to remark it up, but as well as everything else that you get, now instead of going stamina, right, from the fruit muffin, and the experience, which was very nice leveling up, by the way, okay, now I'm opting for more health, less stam, because now I have my rested buff is all up. Okay, so I'm getting more stamina, and I don't have a stamina problem. And because I have the regeneration that I do with the honey mead, right? And I am talking about, that's one. This would be two. This would be my third choice. If I only had 3 stomach spots, those would be my 3. Those would be my 3 go-tos. But then I get my piece of armor, and I get my 4th. And then I opt between, depending upon, this would be for farming. Okay. And this one would be basically running around the world. If I'm going to be fighting, and I know I'm going to be in places where I might get lots of... So this is... I don't have a generic spot for this. The EXP is gone. Okay. Because I'm 60th level. Because I'm leveled up. This is gone. Otherwise, this would be my 4th. Okay. But because the XP for me, this is now... Honey meat is usually my 4th. And because I'm opting for going with 5 spots, this would be my 5th. Okay. Let's get rid of that stuff. Okay. So, I think that basically covers this guide. And, wow, did I ever digress? Okay, the ice. Remember I pulled ice out of my deep freeze? Okay. So, the reason why I opt for the metal rain reservoir, and you can use the stone one, is that you take your ice and you place it down below. I have never hooked up this to anything. And yet I just keep dumping my ice from my deep freezes in here. and I got like 150 liters. I don't end up using it all. Excuse me. And then, of course, what I want to point out is just maybe not a hack, but just an idea when you're watering. Okay, so I don't need to do the iron crop plots. I don't need to do the entire greenhouse because it's all run with water. Okay, but these wood crop plots outside, you go to the middle one of 5. So that one, and then 2 away, and then 2 more away, and then 5. 1, 2. Let's do the corner, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I think I missed this one. Yep. You can tell on the buffs because you'll see the water drop. Okay, so the water drops. So nothing. Water that one. And it's 2 on each side. So into the corner. Okay, this will be. You'll be able to see this a lot better. So if I go to the middle one, okay. Sometimes you only get 4. Sometimes you'll get 5. So I usually opt to go 2 away when I'm watering, and it's not a perfect science. I miss. I'll be honest, I don't really care to a certain extent. There we go. And I missed the last one. There we go. And then by the time I'm done, yeah, I got like 148. Yeah. So that's how I handle the wood crop plots around the outside. Now, I could transfer them all and make them all iron crop plots. Then I would never have to water, which would be really cool. But I'm not going to go through the expense. I'm already having a whatchamacallit problem. The iron crop plots are in the machining bench, and they are sulfur. And I don't have an ingot problem, I don't have a wire problem, I don't have a steel problem. I have lots of that stuff. I have a sulfur problem because I don't have enough sulfur mines out there. Or, well, deep ore sulfur deposits. Anyway, I just wanted to show you how I deal with the ice coming out of the deep freezes, because I always leave a spot for it so that I'm generating ice. This way I can go upstairs and I can go drop that ice off, and it helps to keep my rain buckets. If you transferred everything up there over to iron crop plots and then, you know, had enough water pumps going, you wouldn't need to do that. But everybody, I find that if I just take the ice out of my deep freezes, it's fine. If you have any questions, comments, all the rest of that, I'm going to be keeping this one. I've thoroughly enjoyed building this one. I took some, you know, artistic license and whatnot for my wife was going to come join me, but she never did. The house, I wanted a little walkway. I don't know. I'm weird, I guess. But I made it out of concrete. Oh, the this isn't really part of the food and farming guide. Okay, but as I leveled up and what should I call it? I used electric mining drills. Then you just close it back up. On top, I've put beacons, and instead of running power lines like I have in other... running power lines is time-consuming. It does well, because then you can have all of your generation in one place and have generation as you move out there. But for this one, I just decided to go for whatchamacallits instead. I have lots of ore. I have lots of stuff. I have lots of... stuff wasn't a problem in this one, in this build. Stuff really wasn't an issue. I suggest getting the benches, the decoration, the trophy, because then you can make all of what you need. The art and the geodes are... They do come from one DLC that I've gotten so far. The art is in here. And you get paints, and the bookshelf, I'm sure, was part of the original game. And then the geodes are in here. Copper cluster lamps, gold ore, you know, I mean, all the fun stuff that you need. Where's my 65 in here? There they are. Okay. So, cooking with or not cooking with this 65% stuff. It's just the spoil time from when this spoils. It doesn't do anything for the end food. Meaning if I were to take that strawberry and turn it into... well, this was for the muffin. Okay, it was for the fruit muffins. It doesn't make the fruit muffin provide a stronger modifier. It doesn't do that. So, really, I mean, if you go with generational seeds, I believe my first ones were 40, and then I went to 65. Most of my seeds are all 40% before spoiling. You know what I mean? And then I've got the 65s. I'll be honest, I don't know. I don't recall getting a talent for that. Growth speed. I mean, 40% spoil time of harvested items. Crop resources will take longer to spoil. 100% effectiveness for the duration of the growth. Okay, but how did I get the 65s? I don't know. Because I couldn't find... I don't know what they've done there. I didn't have time to do a lot of research into that. And be honest, I didn't really care. Because... when it comes down to it, look at that health bar at 1,400 hit points, 1,475, 963 stamina. That stamina bar is huge. And it regens so fast. If I were to burn the whole thing, it regens so fast at 7.2, at 7.72. It's so fast. I still have 45% experience bonus. I do believe one of the solo talents down below... Yeah, 15% experience. So that's why I have what I have. Because I got 30 from the 3 other foods, right, from the vegetable rolls. Other than that, everybody, I think that pretty much covers... I mean, you have to get the alteration bench to get the other spot in your stomach. So, I mean, a lot of this is late game stuff. You could go for the talent right away to get the food pyramid, to get the extra spot in your stomach. But then, I mean, I haven't been able to get anything in adventuring, which I have in the past gone a little bit into the exploration. I always get the ready for work, but sometimes I will get stuff in tools. I have other characters with stuff in tools. My combat, I went all the way into bows, just cause, and I went fairly far. Opting for a bunch of the stuff. But in survival, I did take hunting. I wasn't able to get sense magnafauna. Nearby enemies highlight, so it's the large animals. But I still got medium. It's not as good. I would have liked to have highlighted all of them. Getting some more capacity, making sure that you don't have to gather your chopped trees. Oh man, that is one that I almost always get. Do not get all the good stuff. All you get is fiber. When you grab bushes, all you get is fiber. My wife mentioned that there is a huge seed problem with... Now, what I did was I went out and just grabbed my scythe, okay? And then I went out and just scythed up bushes, and when I would go do large amounts of... whatchamacallit? Well, basically large amounts of bushes. I would get tons and tons of seeds from that. And then I was using some of the seeds from the garden, and then I was making animal feed. Now, I only have one horse. I knew that if I went and got, a horse and then a buffalo, pack animal, and then, well, the horse is pretty fast. I don't have an argument with it. You end up into the seed problem. You end up into a feed problem. Wife was asking me about that. how I'm handling the feed problem. And I said, well, I'm only got one animal. Oh, because we have 4 when we do ours. Other than that, I think that brings this guide to a finish. Yeah, I'm trying to recall anything else. I can't recall anything, so I thank you very much for joining me. Thanks for, if you stayed right to the end here, thanks. If this helped you out in any way, shape, or form, think about smashing that like button. It'll help the algorithm to get this video out to other people. And, well, if you like what I do on the channel, hit the subscribe. And you guys have yourself a wonderful day. Thanks.